Yeah, oh, Prof here. There's the Moondrop Disc Dream. Like, what? A CD player? Yeah, actually, a CD player. Brand new one. Just produced. I'm kind of lukewarm on it, but check out the video if you want to know more. It might be a bit long-winded, but it's kind of... Here's a short of that. If you're looking for... You want a no-nonsense, brand new CD player that you don't have to mess around with, it does that. It has a good DAC amp in it. And if you just want to be able to buy one, chuck your CDs in and play it. Right? If you're just getting into that hobby, interested. If you're looking to integrate it into other setups or anything like that, or do more than just plug in some power speakers into it or headphones, probably not the one for you. You know, compared it to one I bought for $50-$60 on AliExpress. It is better, but is it 4 times better? That's up to you. So what we have in here, we have this slim package right here that I'm going to slice open with a knife here. Oh, another thing in regards to this slim package here. Some of you may have in the past, for many, many years, probably better part of 10, seen this scissors. I love this one. It's normally when you get a short blade like this, especially a stout one like that, you only get these little fingery holes, you know, like this sort of thing. Whereas this one, they basically gave it a full proper handle on it that even me with my man hands can fit in, but it still has a stumpy but very tall scissors. Like I think they advertise this as for cutting leather or strapping, or I use it for cutting Velcro. Works great for that. Not sticky Velcro. Sticky things use the non-stick scissors for. Don't you dare cut sticky things with non-stick scissors. You will get stuck with the scissors if you do that. If you're running, this is one of the said non-stick scissors. It has this black coating on it, which makes tape and other sticky items not stick to it. You might, I mean, like they kind of do sometimes, but the goop wipes right off and you keep on going. Whereas with steel scissors, yeah, if you don't have like alcohol out, constantly wiping them off, they get disgusting. Whereas these, I regularly don't even have to wipe them off. Normally I use the big shears more. Those were the first ones that came in like the I think it's titanium non-stick or something like that. Nowadays you can even get, these aren't children's ones, these are some sort of sewing little snips. But they even make children's shears with the non-stick coating. It looks applied way worse than their better ones. But this one, I love these stumpy, chunky shears here from Fiskars. Bought these at Walmart and couldn't find one. And actually my mom wanted a pair. She's like, oh, if you find another pair, buy it for me. Well, I may very well have bought the last pair on the internet. There is some sewing like a craft company out of, like, I want to say like Idaho or Michigan or something like that I bought it from. They had one pair left. I ordered it on a whim. It was $25 full retail price, and I charged $10 for shipping to get it here. But do you see it? Brand new in packaging. This is literally going to go in one back room in a basement in a nice box. So when these either get too dull or worn out, we can just pop these guys open and snip. And yes, I threw out this. This is to protect the blade, or when you throw it in your bag. It's blunted. What? No. Like, I understand it's like a cheap, nice little throw-in, but yeah, I love these. Like I said, I like these guys. You can cut these down to like their correct length once you and you can use a normal scissors for it. You're gonna wear out that normal scissors like that though. I mean, a nice pair of Fiskars you might not wear out very quickly, like even like a bigger pair of shears. The nice thing about these though is that little strap is like maybe half the length of this blade. You don't need a 8-inch long shears or 6-inch long shears to cut a 1/2-inch wide strip, or 3/8 inch wide strip or whatever. That's where these are super nice, and because they're kind of like chunky and wide, they actually cut those thicker little materials like leather or even cardboard quite nicely. So I'm glad I got a pair. And if you guys find any, apparently they I don't know if the US had it, but at least some markets had black ones, which I have never seen. I do have one black Razor's Edge Fiskars shears, and I do not like it, so it's the one that goes to work. That is one because I do not buy a, like, it's actually at in my desk at work. That is one where I've cut sticky, goopy stuff and never fully got it off of too. I just that also I don't even know if I can if I have it on my hand someplace. Well, it got caught one time and I actually like really cut myself bad on it. It is sharp as frick. Like the blades on it like are actually like these are actually wider than they would normally be on most scissors, right? Like, but those ones to get it sharper are like that wide. So it kind of like gets in the way too. You might have seen it on previous ones that I've done, but yeah, that thing went to work. I don't care if it cuts sticky things. As long as, I mean, you might have to clean it off after with like an alcohol wipe or something. But yeah, screw that scissors. I also tried non-Fiskars scissors. Like there's competing brands that are like at Walmart and some of these other craft places. One of them had like the bend in the thing, like going like in a crescent shape. Got cut by that thing too. It was sharp, but it's like carbo something blade. It was like a really light scissors, kind of weird. Also, supposedly that's non-stick. It is nowhere near as non-stick as the Fiskars non-stick. They must have either a partnership with a company that has it patented or have it patented themselves. And I now have two, I have three actually because my work bag has one. But it took me 10 years of using, because I only used the non-stick scissors to cut sticky things, right? It took me 10 years to wear out that scissors. And actually, it was more the handle, the grip in the handle got like kind of, ugh. But I cleaned that up and actually threw it in my like PC repair bag for cutting double stick tape. Really, those are really nice for cutting double stick tape. And like the sticky, goopy Velcro and stuff like that. Still fine for that, works for it. It's just there's certain parts on it that aren't sharp. And you're like, oh, you sharpen it. Well, the problem is with those non-stick scissors, when you sharpen them, you remove the non-stick, which defeats the point of having the non-stick scissors. So then eventually you have to buy one, but they're like $15 or $20 for a pair. And like I said, mine literally lasted me like 10 years before I swapped it. And I have the nice pair down here I have a little spinner that has all my scissors in for various things. And the old one went in the work bag, or in my tool bag. I bought a new one because at my previous job, they bought me all my tools. They said they would. And they're like, why do you need a scissors for working in IT? I'm like, well, cutting Velcro, double stick tape, electrical tape, duct tape, basically for cutting sticky things. And then they were like giving me crap about it. And then they used it one time. They're like, oh, the tape really doesn't stick to it, does it? And I'm like, yup. They're like, oh, how much was this? Exactly. I do ask and buy for things for reasons. I'm not crazy insane. Just being like, oh, yeah, if you don't buy me this, like this $100 and whatever pen. I think it was even more than that. $250 pen. I can't possibly work. No. Most of that's me buying nice things over there, right? You're like, oh, I can't work for you unless you buy me a Linus Tech Tip screwdriver. Granted, these things are really freaking nice. They're probably, like, I would argue they're worth it. I could see actually being more efficient with that. But it's like, okay, so for example, here's my RC car screwdriver. That is $20. Here is the titanium one from Scout Leather Co. That is more than $100, if I recall correctly. Work bought me one of these. It functions the same way, and in some ways actually better than this. I prefer this. Like, how it fits in my hand is awesome, you know? But to be truthful, how this fits in my hand is pretty damn nice as well, and it locks into more bits, to be truthful. Now there's play up here because cheap piece of garbage, and that's a hollow aluminum thing, and this is supposed to spin, and but this all, and you're like, why do you want an RC car screwdriver for PC stuff? Well, it gives you a smaller, more precise handle that you can slip full-size like drill bits into effectively. Or it's also small enough if you want to put in the smaller bits, you can. Or if you want an adapter to go down to the 4mm like iFixit bits, but it gives you like a little bit bigger handle. A lot of times that iFixit handle just, it's precise, but like, say if you're using a Phillips 2 in there or something, you know, or it gives you that size handle, but for a 1/4 inch bit rather than a 4mm bit, for example. So this is another one of those tools that I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, work, you gotta buy this for me. This is a kit from AvE. Yes, the AvE. He was like, you know what? He likes the big snap-off blades. You might have seen, I don't even know where. Here, I got this guy. We got the prototype. And we got the final one somewhere over here. There you go. So, you might have seen me with these before from CW&T. I highly recommend them still. But these are a size smaller than what AvE made this for. And they're also the snap-off blades. These do take proprietary ones that have notches up top, so it can lock in. This is more of like an arch craft design one. This is, I actually do have even one prior to this. This is a prototype out of aluminum. I also have a prototype that was 3D printed that I broke. And there were changes made. I'm not going to say just from me because I don't know who else used it, what the feedback from them was, etc. But I managed to break the 3D printed one, 3D printed prototype. So there were changes made. And there's a reason why it's made out of aluminum. Then the final version was actually made out of titanium. Super nice, the whole thing out of titanium, but there's not much use. See how it's like really slim? Like they wanted something that even their kids can use. Like it's kind of traditional to have this style, maybe in the smaller size, because there is one blade smaller than this that I would use. It's called like an art knife. It's probably about half the width of the blade of this. Those are really common in Japanese. Like they're just part of your, like if you have your pencil case, you're gonna have an art knife in there that's like that size half this in height. So this is kind of like a modern take on the art knife, where you can get like, or if you need more blade, you can just put more blade out. You know, and you do not need the proprietary blades. I actually just have a bunch. They had them made because then you don't need a locking mechanism. You can just kind of like slide it along the top of the blade. And it works that way, but it's super duper slim. That's why they did it. Their kids can use it. This one I have personalized for the Profosist. And then later on, they did come out with an aluminum one. I think they even have custom ones now. They have custom anodizing, custom titanium anodizing on them. It's like really, like they found out that they actually don't need as much titanium. Like they don't need the back solid. If you look at the back, it's just flat, right? They don't actually need that. So they actually chunked out, like it's milled out, like where you can see like sort of like a skeletonized version of it. That one's like double this one, I want to say, in cost. So, and I don't use this style enough personally, because for art style, like having something this lightweight you can hold like this or whatever is super nice. But just for what I do on a day-to-day, like if I was still doing design work and stuff like that, I could see using this more. But I don't use enough to kind of like splurge for some of their like higher end offerings. And this one's kind of like a cheaper offering of the now back in aluminum, but it's hard black anodized. So type 3 hard, I believe, in black, which apparently ended up being strong enough for what they needed. The titanium one is kind of like a lot of their stuff was always made of titanium, so that was their like final product, is, you know, use the cheaper stuff to prototype it, and then once you have what you want, then you make it out of titanium, because that's like the end all be all in many cases. And you can see though that with the black aluminum guy here, it has not been used much, unless I put a new blade in it. I'm not sure, but it was so dusty here that I was wiping it off. Also says TheProfosist on it, got it etched. The black turns out really nice with that. So effectively though, with these like snap-off blades like this, this thing from AvE is that but bigger. So it's like more the shop size snap-off blade. And what he found is like Olfa makes like this horrible yellow one. I've actually even used it in a bunch of shops and school and art studios, stuff like that. It's just a common, just like, I don't want to say you get it from around here. It would be like, not McMaster Car. I'm trying to remember the place where they supply all this shit. It's an industrial supply company. Uline. That's actually really close near here as well. Uline. I'm not sure you can get that exact one. Or we probably get a knockoff of it from Uline or something very similar. Where it's just like this hard molded plastic with a stainless steel sleeve, and you chuck blades in it, and when it breaks, just get another one. It's got a little ratcheting knob on it for tightening and loosening the blade on it. He's using those. You just kind of like you use them until the handle thing breaks, and you toss it out. You get another, throw a blade in it, etc. Often they come with blades in them already. This is basically a nice version of that. This should be like the last one you need, and if you only need one, you only buy one. I bought one because, like I said, I do not use snap-on blades that often. I use just the standard box cutter. That's my preferred style, especially in the TUKK XL. Maybe I'll use it more once I have like a nice tool that it's in. He was actually asking because he wanted to make this for his community, and like he offered the ability to back it, like or not back it. Like basically, he's like, hey, we don't even know if this will get done, but he needed funds to get it started, so he could produce enough of this because this is, I believe, all stainless. I like stainless steel. Stainless steel is good. And then there's one strip where it actually, where the blade actually glides, and that's what you run into. Because remember, this is the Olfa high carbon steel blade as well. In here is what this is made out of, right? What ends up happening, and this is why I think they went away from the aluminum, is high carbon steel is harder than aluminum. Yeah. So eventually it's going to notch like a groove where it slides even further than what is milled out right now. Now that should be delayed quite a bit because this is, like I said, the type 3 hard anodized, which is hard. But you know, that's why we went away from this. This isn't even anodized. This is just raw aluminum. Like you can see where it's sliding. And if you're wondering why, Elliot, why does this one look like you've used it the most and it has the most beating to it? Because it has been. I was testing this one for them. So I purposely used it a whole bunch, especially after I broke the plastic one. So I'm like I said, I'm interested in this. It looks like a beefy guy. It's got some unique locking mechanisms with springs in there and stuff like that. Like I said, I threw some money. I don't know if it was like $25 or $35 or something like that. To get it started so he could try to mass produce it. And then later on, he's like, yeah, if I do, or when I do, you'll get a coupon code for the final product. So I was happy to, because he was also talking about on some of the stuff like, you know, like as we all know, YouTube revenue's less, etc., etc. He's like, I'm not asking you guys to support me, which he never does, but you know, like getting this, but this is a big enough project that you know, like the outlay to him was too much. Like he's like, if we don't get this, it won't happen, and I really want to do it. And I'm like, yep, here's some money. And then it happened, got my discount code, picked it up, it's here now. I am not building this right now. I could, we'll make a video later on about it, but there are pieces that need to be broken apart in here that are the titanium layer, and he's trying to figure out how to make it so you loses less titanium. That need to either be electronically anodized or heat. Traditionally, titanium is heat anodized, and you just heat it up to whatever color you want. That's why often why it goes blue, because I think the hottest is blue, and then it goes like a rainbow color down to like yellowish. If I recall correctly, it might be the other way. Either way, basically hold it with some pliers. There are some nubs that need to be cut off. You gotta cut the nubs off first, because if you cut them off after, the point where they're cut off will not be anodized. Then you just heat that bad boy up. I think I have like a little butane torch. That should be enough, I'm hoping. Because I don't have, like, I think he used like map gas, or maybe the one not as hot as map gas, the one under there. I don't have one like that. Maybe that's an excuse to go get a new Bernie torch thing. Yeah, like a propane one. You know, more tools. But yeah, this thing looks nice and chunky. Uses the bigger size blade. I'm gonna have to get some of those. This size too. When I was doing testing, if you notice, there are notches on this one. There were not on the plastic one. And the blades that originally fit this were not notched, but later on, because this wasn't testing, like the notch on here is actually smaller, so it doesn't lock up nearly as well as on, like there's a little bit of play in there compared to the final one where there's very little play comparatively. But I could use the notched blades in my beta test one. And I've helped them with a number of things on that. A little bit of design experience helps with that. Also, guys, if you want to go around, like, you say you want to review products for somebody, or for a company, make sure you have good feedback, like, or try to offer something that other people don't. Like, I have input that others may not, just from experience using a lot of these items, or like mice and stuff like that. Review your own mice. If you have a couple, or review friends, like say you can't afford more than one mouse. I bet your friend has a different one. Compare them. Make a video on it. You know, write out your thoughts. This is where English comes in. I suck at actually understanding like pronouns and all this other nonsense, but I can write well. Do I understand why it is written well? No. I understand from like a like I know it's written well sort of thing. Do I understand why from a English theory perspective why it works? No. I probably should, but poor high school stuff there. It's like I can do literature, good at that, but like standard like English, poo. And even in college, that was more on like research papers, and you're like, oh, you whatever that wrong, like the notated it wrong, and you just failed the paper. They didn't care how well it was written. They cared like all your reference material was done exactly perfectly. You're basically just concatenating thoughts from other people together from other papers. It was dumb as shit. Because even back then I was already writing stuff from my own experience or based on my knowledge. Well, where'd you get that knowledge? From literally doing it. And they're like, oh, you can't be doing it long enough. I'm like, actually, you'd be surprised how long I've done a lot of this stuff. I remember, guys, in high school I was already reviewing for SteelSeries was sending me product. So like I said, you just gotta kind of do your own thing with what you got, and then you know, maybe somebody will find it helpful and send you something. Now, what you'll come to realize fairly quickly, and that's why I actually stopped. Some of the places, like, we do one thing and then they just always send us shit, right? But then they expect a video or expect a written article or expect something from it. Even though I'm small, that gets to, like, I don't always, you've seen shit happens around here. I have a job, I have a life. This is kind of like a side hobby. I don't always have time to, you know, every little thing that comes through. Do I have time to do a review and do it within a timetable? No. Most of my videos come out weeks, months, if not literal years, or I think at this point maybe a decade late for one video. You'll get it eventually, but you'll get it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Would you be interested in a video of me putting together this knife from AvE? Check it out. Otherwise, check out his video on it. I think it's very well and interestingly designed. I appreciate both the simplicity of a single notch like this, and you have to modify the blade, or somebody taking the knife that they like and designing their ultimate design of it for themselves. Also, he purposely left... like, the tolerances are very tight because he understands that as you use it more and more, and if you want to use this like the rest of time effectively for you, it's going to wear looser and looser and looser the more you use it. So tolerances might be tight early on, but they'll loosen up as you use it. Worst case, you can always hit it with a file. Customize it yourself a little bit. You know? So... I still, like I said, like the box cutter. Check out Tactical Keychains. They're TUKK XL and TUKK HD, minty fresh. Love those things. If you need something cheaper, look at the Gerber EAB. That takes you know, it's pocketable, and it takes a utility knife blade, but you know, is sort of like a money clip form factor. Actually, at one point, gifted them to every male human in my family. Bought a lot of them. And I know a lot of them still use it to this day. I know some of them also seen my TUKK XL and they're like, oh, what about one of those? And I'm like, maybe just for you, if you show you really want it, because like those are, you know, $10 versus $100, depending, you know. Not something I can just be like, yeah, sure. I'm not made of. Oh no, show I'm not made of money or whatever. But you know, like there's a difference in you know, cost there significantly. So if I find somebody else uses their Gerber EAB a lot, you know, I might be like, oh, you know, have you seen this guy? They might be willing to put in the money, but the average person, not so much. I know when I was back at Geek Squad, almost all of them, because they'd borrow mine, would just they all ended up owning one. But if you're using it every day at work, that's a bit different than like randomly at home, you know. But I appreciate projects like this, and like I said, I didn't have a custom or a, you know, like a nice quality one that took that thicker, wider snap-off blade. Now I do it. Just got to put it together, make it look fancy-pantsy, and let me know if you guys are interested in a video of that. Any comments, questions, anything like that of any of the brands, you know, hit me down below. Here's a quick selection of my current TUKK HD and XLs. We get our copper, titanium, and orange. So those are my main squeezes. Other ones you'll see either on my keychain or like as an everyday carry, because they're not those ones. So that's already too many. You guys are good with one of them, trust me. I ran one, I don't know, 5-6 years, and that was a copper one. The issue there, copper softer than, I use the carbide Stanley or DeWalt blades. Prefer the DeWalt ones. They're a little bit nicer, harder to find than the Stanleys. Those are much harder than copper. They've revised that since the new owners and stuff like that, where they use either a what's it called, a threaded, but not threaded rod. It's like one of those flush screws you put in. I can't remember. I've said it in previous videos. Or they use a I was gonna say a split ring. It's not a split ring. I don't know. I've said it in previous videos. It's like the bendy tube that it's got a line in the middle. You squish it together and you put it in there. And they're usually hardened steel, hardened spring steel, which makes them very hard. They'll definitely not get wrecked by a little blade. My brain, since it's 5 a.m., yeah, I've been up, you know, because I work second shift. But this is about when I go to bed. Is just so, yeah. Well, guys, check out. We have opened up lots of things. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I want to get and put you know, some of these new pens to use. Get that knife put together, and maybe get some blades on order to get that thing going. And we'll have a nice beefy guy to try out on a future project. Any questions, comments, like I said before, throw them down below. At TheProfosist on, you know, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the social medias, and we should have our Discord link down below if you want to ever chat about any of this stuff. Often it comes up in conversation before I order it, or as I'm ordering, I'm like, hey, did you see this cool thing? I'm gonna order one, and everybody's like, ooh, I might order one too, blah blah. Or if you have questions about builds, I help a lot of computer builds. If you guys have that, I feel like no matter what industry you're in, you probably need a desktop, in my opinion. Maybe not, depending on your living situation, but I think everybody can benefit, even if you're not using it for gaming, can benefit for have a workstation, have a place where you have your computer, you sit down and do stuff on it. It's different than having your laptop on a couch. I'm telling you guys, it's worth, like, even if you don't need 3 monitors, you just do like over there, like a 1 or 2 on a little like smaller desk, and you have your keyboard, mouse set up, and you know, when you sit down there, you're doing a thing. You know, it's a different vibe when you just kind of have your your laptop on the couch and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to get work done or get schoolwork done, or like I gotta pay bills, but you can't focus because you're on the couch and you're used to relaxing there, you know. It's a whole mindset thing, and I can tell you, I've done that for friends. That's why we have Cobble, and now Cobble 2, and I think Cobble 2 went over to Lance, so now we're probably gonna have Cobble 3. But most of my friends now are at an age where they can just buy a computer if they need it. But back, especially in middle and high school, especially high school, we just had our old gen parts, our old stuff. We would just keep and cobble together so that people who thought they might want a computer could use it for weeks, if not months, and be like, yep, this is actually something I'm going to use. Preston, Frozen Slate, same way. That's how he got his PC. He got Cobble, OG Cobble. Use that, and he's like, you know what? I'm using this enough. I think I want, like, he already had his job and stuff. He's like, I think I want to take the money I'm making and put that towards a PC and figure out what he wanted, because he knew based on, like, because he'd helped me build mine and build other people's, stuff like that. That's how you get them started, in my opinion. Just so you guys, too, if you're getting into PC gaming, you do not need the latest and greatest. By no means. Like, a lot of people start out by buying a pre-built and modifying it later. Or you can go on, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, make sure you're getting a decent deal, but you can buy a couple gen old stuff. That's the one great thing about PC gaming. It's not like an Xbox where, like, oh, I got an Xbox One, I can't play Xbox Series games, or I can't play Xbox 360 games. PC, you can pretty much play whatever the frick you want. You might have to run the settings on, like, super ultra duper low, but it'll run it. Or you can just play older games you've never played before. There's a lot to learn there too. You're gonna learn troubleshooting. You're gonna learn just like basic PC use. You can also do way more with a computer. Programming, design, yada yada yada. Like it's like kind of like opens up a whole new subsection. And I like I said, that's why I feel a desktop is beneficial, because you're gonna go sit down, you're gonna use that on that screen. That's a really nice screen, by the way. That's the 4K OLED. 32-inch 4K OLED LG, 240 hertz. Oh, glorious. If you're going to have a screen, that's a screen to have right there. That was a beautiful screen to have. But yeah, I would argue even more so than a docked laptop, which is what I use for work. But that is my work laptop. I don't ever do anything pleasurable on that thing. So that's a bit different. But I don't know, because the desktop forces you to use it in that place, and you should be at least building that space, even if it's just like a small 2 foot by, that's a 3 foot by 3 foot desk over there. 2 foot by 4 foot, I mean 2.5 by 5 is that, which is pretty standard for like an office or old school, 70s era desk, maybe 80s. If you watched, what was that one school thing where they went back in time